where have we seen this before? Well, we have to use the classic movie example, Karate Kid, because that's exactly what Mr. Miyagi had Daniel LaRusso doing during the movie. The first Karate Kid, when he goes out and he has him waxing the cars and waxing and sanding the deck and painting the fence and painting the house, all he was trying to do was teach him very simple movement patterns slowly through repetition, and by doing that, each time he did it incorrectly, he corrected him and made him do those movements exactly the way that he wanted him to do that. Now, at the end of this whole process, of course, they have their great standoff where the Karate Kid's all upset that he's just sitting there doing all this housework around for Mr. Miyagi, not learning any karate, and then, of course, they go through the little sparring match, and Daniel LaRusso realizes, wow, I really did learn something, and at the end, there was no other way I could have learned this. I couldn't have learned to fend off Mr. Miyagi throwing punches and kicks at me had we tried to do it this way, had he just started throwing kicks and teaching it and me trying to do it at full speed. I had to learn over time because that myelinization doesn't happen in 5 seconds. It takes 2 days to as many as a couple weeks for that biological process to occur, for the myelin to be wrapped around the neuron, for that pathway to start to become more efficient. So in other words, every time you go out and work on your golf swing, and let's say you spend an hour hitting balls, you didn't technically learn, or you didn't build a pathway to have that reinforced over a long period of time in that one session. It takes repeated sessions, and it takes time, a couple of days to a couple of weeks, for that pathway to start to be reinforced. And that's a little bit different for everybody, whether it's a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but the fact of the matter is it's a biological change that's happening in your brain, and you need those repetitions to master these tasks. So the first thing that you need to take out of this is that whether or not you become a great golfer is dependent on 2 things. One, the quality of the information that you're receiving. In other words, whether or not the instruction that you're receiving from your instructor is the right information. And B, you need to understand that it is a change that's going to take time and repetition. There's no way around it. Whether or not you become a great golfer is not determined whether or not you have some God-given talent. It is a matter of whether or not you're willing to put in the time to rebuild proper pathways, proper movement patterns. And research has shown that it's about 3,000 to 5,000 reps to master a movement pattern. That doesn't mean you can't repeat it after doing it 50 times. But in order for it to become automatic and fully grooved, it's 3,000 to 5,000 repetitions, and there's just no way around this. So if you want to master the takeaway, you need to have the right information on how to perform the takeaway, and B, you need to put in 3,000 to 5,000 quality reps of doing that movement correctly before it will ever be grooved. Now, 3,000 to 5,000 reps, again, is for it to be mastered. The number that you want to take out of this session right now is that it's 100 reps for a pathway to even be created. Now think about that. If you're out hitting balls, and let's say you hit 100 balls, and you're doing it at full speed, and you're trying to learn a new thing, a new movement, let's say you're working on the takeaway, and you're working on the shoulder blade glide that we talk about on the website, do you think that you're going to do that exactly correctly 100 times when you're trying to focus on making contact, hitting the ball at the target, all those things? Of course not. But now, and more importantly, it's going to take more time to hit those 100 balls than it would to take 5 minutes or 15 minutes away from that and try to do the 100 reps away from the ball. So the thing you need to understand here is that in each lesson that I give, we try to get whatever movement pattern that we're working on for that session, we try to at least get 100 reps if it's a new pattern, because I don't want the student to come back tomorrow or go work on his own the next day and not have had any pathway created, because he's going to go back and start all over again. He may intellectually know exactly what I told him, but his body, his nervous system, hasn't built the pathway for his muscles to be able to repeat that sequence. That's the key, is that you need at least 100 reps in that session for the pathway to be created. So that's always my goal in a lesson, is to get 100 reps in, doing it flawlessly, doing it perfectly, so that the brain at least has a chance tomorrow to try and continue to rebuild that path, or to build upon that pathway. So 100 reps is the goal in any session that you're doing, 100 perfect reps doing it exactly the way that you want to, so that your brain is learning the right information. Because again, it can't interpret, I don't want to learn that, but I do want to learn that. It doesn't know right or wrong. It simply does whatever you tell it to do, and it builds those pathways whether they're right or wrong. So you need to understand that learning is a biological process, that when you're learning a new trait in the golf swing, you're re-educating your nervous system. It takes time for everybody. Even Tiger Woods has to go through the exact same learning pathway that you do. And a good little refresher might be to go back and watch The Karate Kid and watch how those movements that he has him doing are very, very simple at first. He needs to learn the very basic movements, which is the same in the golf swing, the takeaway, the setup, the grip. You need to learn all those basic movements before you can combine them at speed and combine them in more complex, distracting situations like the golf course. So take some time to understand that the reason you haven't gotten better at golf is not because you don't have talent or that you're never going to be a good golfer. The reason that you haven't gotten better at golf is A, probably that you didn't receive the right information. B, it wasn't communicated to you in the right way. In other words, you had the what of what you wanted to do or what your golf instructor wanted you to do, but he didn't give you the how on how to do it. And C, you didn't have a learning program that was built around how your brain actually learns. Did your instructor give you a program that says, look, in this lesson we're going to try to get 100 reps on this one specific movement pattern. Over the next month we're going to try to get those 3,000 reps in, and then we're going to work on to the next thing. In reality, you can't avoid that. That is how your brain learns. That's how everybody's brain learns. And that's what you need to walk away from with this slide today.